Hey, welcome to NiteLife Exchanges, where we catch up on all things nightlife, especially within our communities of Cabaret and Broadway. Without further ado, I'm going to bring on my partner in crime, Mr. Tony Javid. Tony, are you there?
I'm here.
Of course you are. I know that. Tony, the holidays are upon us, and all is well as can be. Things. They're definitely keeping us busy with news and all of what's going on in the world. That's for sure.
Indeed, it's never a dull moment. I'd like
I'm,
to be bored for a while.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping. So listen, we have a wonderful guest today, and she's been on before. She was actually on the first show that we did, Piano Bar Live show that we did from the duplex, because she's more than an amazing performer. She's a really amazing friend, and I've known her well. The night that I walked into the original duplex and saw there was some shows, and I think it was we did an early show, like 8 o'clock show, Nancy Lamott, and then 10 o'clock show, that's PM, Karen Mason, and then there was like a midnight show, Sharon McKnight. And there might have even been a 2 o'clock show, because that it was just different. But ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to NiteLife Exchanges the amazing and the lovely Karen Mason.
Hello, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
And hey, I'd go for a little boredom too with politics.
Yeah, I know. So listen, it's that most wonderful time of the year again.
So they say.
So they say. And so here you are, and we would like to find out what you're up to now. I know that you have an upcoming gig that is going to be taking place at Birdland. So
yeah.
What's the name of that show?
Yeah, it's called Christmas, 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 because you can't have enough of it.
That's right.
And it's December 19th at 7 p.m. in the upstairs room at Birdland. I love that room. It'll be Chris Denny and Tom Hubbard and myself. And
Nice.
This show I started doing with Brian Lasser back in 1980 something. And some of the arrangements are still the original arrangements that we have mutated a little bit. They've grown up with me as I've gotten older, and had Barry Kleinbort and Chris Denny to help guide me through that. But we've added some new songs, have a couple that were written by my husband, Paul Rolnick. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's funny looking at the patter from years gone by, that almost every time I say, this has been a tough year.
That is a standard part of the pattern, huh?
It is. I didn't realize it, but it seems like every year around this time, I don't know whether it's that you kind of stop and look back at the year, or we're anticipating a new one. But it's funny, what a year this has been, blah, blah, blah.
Well, yeah, and there's a lot to do while you're reflecting and while you're looking forward. There's all of the machinations of just the making merry of it all, which always seems to be a little bit more stressful than you would think, but it's always worth it.
Well, I think it's that pressure to make merry. You have to be happy during this. And that's hard. It's really hard.
But of course, that reflection back, because you're a survivor, you have always been evolving and changing and adding, but you've had moments in time. I mean, Mamma Mia as an example, right? Was on. You'd already were in rehearsals and everything was going strong, and then the towers came down, and then you got back there. You were one of the first shows, I believe, that reopened.
Yeah, I think 42nd Street might have been the first one. And we were, we kind of were in that whole group of shows that.
What a year that
Producers was a big one too. Yeah.
Yeah. What a year that was. But all of them are in the rearview mirror now, and we go forward.
Right. We go forward. I mean, look at us, all of us. We're still here making music. You're still helping us. Music makers make music and giving us a place to announce what we're doing. And, it's really exciting that we're all still here. We're a little grayer, but, we're still cute.
And I love the fact too, what really, because everybody hears Christmas music every year. It comes back. Some people listen to it all year long. I couldn't. So that would be a little much. But the fact that you have original tunes as well.
Yeah,
that you can insert and put in.
Yeah, it does help. And what I always loved about our Christmas show is that there's a sense of humor about it. It's not taking, yes, we do, Silent Night is such a beautiful song, and we do it almost like a prayer. And, but we also do a little Christmas depression with Joni Mitchell's River. And then, there's just humor throughout it. And to be able to do original songs it's a plus. And, I love It'll Be Christmas Before You Know It, which Paul wrote.
Yeah. Well, of course, you and Paul together and collaborating for so long. And he's got a good sense of humor, that's for sure.
He does.
Very
Compulsory. That was compulsory. Marrying me, you have to have a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Today you're actually yes,
Thanks,
anybody
Tony.
watching?
I meant it totally differently than it sounded.
So today you have a performance tonight. You've been part of a roster of people that have been upstate in one of a venue that's come back and reestablished itself, the Bradston. So tell us a little bit about the show tonight. If anybody there, are there any tickets available or anybody?
You know what? I honestly don't know.
That's good.
Yeah, I figured they're only going to panic when there are a lot of tickets available. So that's, I like that. No news is good news.
No news is good news. That's right.
But the Bradston, I remember when I was doing Sunset Boulevard, I got a letter from Eddie Dudek, who is one of the people who started the Bradston. And he and Scott Samuelson sent me this note backstage saying they were starting this Nancy Lamont room and would I like to come and perform at it? It was like, well, sure. Sounds great. It was up in White Lake. Well, fast forward, they sold their property that the inn was on, that the cabaret was in, and started this new one. And this was the first year I opened it and closed the season. These guys have been so good to me. It's a beautiful, beautiful property. It's called the Eldred Preserve, the Bradston Boutique Hotel at the Eldred Preserve, which is a very long title.
It's like a college thesis, yeah.
I should get points for this. I should get another degree. Exactly. And but it's really beautiful. And they decided they wanted to do a cabaret series. I mean, how could you not want to be part of that when, it's hard to do a cabaret series. And yet these gentlemen always push to have it be part of whatever they're doing. And
they are great. I mean, they had a long run with the original location and they brought us so much talent up there. And there's an audience for it. And you don't have to even know how to get anywhere anymore. You just put it in your Waze or whatever you're going, and you're there. And it's a beautiful drive. And I know I was there many years ago, and I think we mentioned this before. They had a trout pond. I'm sure it's a little too cold today to go fishing, but you used to catch dinner. You'd catch the trout, and then they'd serve it to you later at that Eldred Preserve.
No kidding.
Now this goes way back. This is about 35 years ago. They've been
I don't know if that happens now.
That location has been, that's a very venerated establishment up there. So that's fantastic that you've been a part of that. And people know that there's cabaret in other places, even in the
cabaret in the Cats.
Eldred, yes. Yeah. So Karen, we have we have caught up on so many things, and one of the things that we did last year. Which
I love doing this, by the way, Scott. This was just so much fun. It was such a highlight.
The candlelight carol service last year meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, it's become a passion of mine. I'll tell everybody why. I was raised as a Jew. But I was raised in a house with my Catholic family because my father was a Roman Catholic Italian. So we had a mix of everything. The only time it ever became problematic was if we got our chocolate bunnies and Passover came at the same time, we had to wait until after Passover to eat the chocolate bunnies. Otherwise, it was a very nice mix. Families we celebrated everything. And my vision of what, when you say religion and spirituality, it's two different things. But when you say religion, a lot of people get put off because they think of religion as it has been. with all of the rules and the stipulations and the
The
hierarchy
negatives.
and the patriarchy also and all of that.
The
And
institution. Yeah.
Chelsea Community Church is a lay-led, non-denominational church. And what's happening there is it's people of all faiths coming together and creating a community, which I think a community of all different people from all different religions with all different experiences truly is the future of what religion and things that will lead us to spirituality and feeling more comfort and in just being around other people and talking and figuring things out. Like we're ever going to really know until the time comes, but nothing's wrong with that. So
Gosh,
being
the whole love thy neighbor thing. Whoa.
yeah. And it
Amazing.
really makes sense in the grand scheme of things because we are not living in small little communities separated now. We're all together. So Chelsea has always been an area where there's been it's always been a think tank and a place where things mixed and people mixed. And it is a bastion of liberalism, I know, as well. There's much of that because it's in the middle of the heart of New York City. So this church, which was established 48 years ago, is still operating and running. And every year we do a candlelight carol service. And Karen, last year, Karen, the
I
reading.
even have the book right here.
Oh, let's look at that. What you're going to be reading.
This
Yeah,
demands a full screen moment. Here's the reveal. Like,
and
it's so beautiful, this story.
it is, and it's because Mr. Moore was a member of founding family in Chelsea,
Right.
and actually donated money and the land for the church that's St. Peter's, which is on 20th Street in Chelsea, and had also helped set up the neighborhood and the grids and the structure that makes it such a beautiful neighborhood in New York. So we are this year. Last year you did it. You came in and you read in an empty church because we were dealing with COVID.
Right.
And this year you get to come in and we're planning. I think we're going to have a very nice turnout from the whole neighborhood and from the city. And I'm hoping that we can get, just have a really good feel in the place and really appreciate you doing it with us.
Oh my God.
So-
I listen, it's such a beautiful church. And there's something very special about that church. When you walk into it, you do feel like part of a community, as opposed to it's so kind of like, I think you used the word, it's like sterile. There's a sterility sometimes to churches.
stodgy and
and not connected to our lives.
Right.
But this, as old as this church is, this feels like a microcosm of New York, which was what I loved about New York, which is why it's very hard to leave New York, is because you are surrounded by so many different types of people, so many different cultures, and they all come together and live on this, in this crazy place we call New York.
That's a little tiny island.
Right. And it's just it just makes you feel warm and optimistic, dare I say optimistic.
We must be optimistic.
Yeah, I think we have to.
So we have a little video of last year's candlelight carol service.
This is good, so I don't wear the same outfit.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Last year you had a lovely. Well, we're going to see you in a minute.
All right, good.
Tony, bring on that video.
Let's check it out.
Oh,
So,
A little snippet.
now you didn't get to see the choir last year
no.
when you were there because we were keeping everybody in separate compartments. But you know how it
And
was.
singing with the masks on. I mean,
Uh,
what we all did to survive this is
I know, but we did,
we did.
and we're really, and that's on. That event is going to be, Tony. If you bring that up on the 18th,
Yeah.
that's at 6 p.m. The church will be open at 5:15 for people to start coming in to be seated and all, and then we'll go from there. And I'm really looking forward to having you there as our guest. And I know that everybody that met you last year, the few people that were there, were thrilled, and we're thrilled to have you back. So, and then the
Oh,
next night, you got to go to Birdland.
that's right. And totally discount everything I did the night before. All the good karma.
It's going to be a great show, I'm sure.
A woman of many moods.
How many,
Yeah,
how many
actually.
years have you been? This you said this is your Brian and you did this show or a version of it, an early version of it starting in the 80s.
In the 80s. I think
So-
the first year we did, it was the year that Don't Tell Mama opened, which was 83. And I think we did our first Christmas show that Christmas of 83. So yeah, it's a
Tradition.
you would think I'd have this all memorized and wouldn't have to rehearse, right?
It's called tradition.
It's called
It's a part of
tradition.
tradition.
And there are people who have come to every year, and I love that.
No doubt.
You know,
Yeah.
and
It's a great way for everybody to get together and
it is
celebrate what we do and what we love. Cabaret, Broadway,
right.
that middle ground that we all like to be in.
Yeah.
So
You know, Scott, I wanted to say back to the reading that Karen's going to be doing. I just have to say that you got to see the exuberance, not hear it, but you could see in the storytelling. But I tell you, the just sort of the capturing of the sort of wide-eyed exuberance and just delight over all things Christmas, kind of you just conjure it so beautifully in your interpretation, just the wide-eyed sort of childlike
Thank
feel
you.
of Christmas. You really do. So I'm just so tickled that more people are going to get to hear that.
oh,
again.
Tony,
So,
that's amazing. Because she did that in a room that was basically 4 or 5 people in there watching. But
Yeah,
now
yeah.
this year we're expecting to have a lot of
Oh, it's going to be so cool.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
a real treat. It's a
wide-eyed
real treat.
children that are going to be they some of them don't know the story because
I know.
you know you see all of the shows that
Right.
come on, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and all of these other shows, but this is not necessarily in our lexicon of the every year. You'd really
Not
have
as it was.
effort of reading it to know, or reading it to the kids to know it, and that's what Karen's going to do again.
Well,
So
and isn't
My
that
nieces
great?
and nephews also got to watch, which meant so much to me that I don't get to see them all the
Yeah.
time. And there is in Australia and Chicago and they
Right.
got to see it, and it's such a lovely gift. And now I hope it becomes a tradition. I hope you don't get tired of me.
no, never.
No, and I'm glad that with the live streaming of it, that more and
yeah,
more people get to visit the
can't-
church.
Yeah, if you can't make it into the actual St. Peter's for the Chelsea Community Church Candlelight Carol service, it will be streaming, and all you have to do is go to the website, which is down there, and find out more information. One more time, we also want to say, let's get that post up there on the bottom for the gig at Birdland.
Yay!
Christmas.
I'm going to try, Karen. I've got a lot going on at the holidays.
I know you do.
But-
You got to keep those singers moving.
Yep, Ellen Stardust 9, and you're going to come in after you can come in anytime you want. You'll get.
I would love to after the show at Birdland some night that week. I'd love to come in. You tell me when.
It feels like the holidays in there so much. It's just amazing. So I guess we're good, and we're going to let you get whatever last minute packing you need to do, and
Yeah.
um,
Pick up Chris Denny and head on up.
yeah. And what is that about? It's only about an hour and 10 minutes.
Well, somewhere between an hour and something and 2.
I guess it depends on how you drive.
Yeah,
Well,
someone's
it's
got to
also
let
getting out of New York that takes
Oh,
half the trip.
For
Always.
sure.
Yeah. always.
traffic times here are definitely. This is the time of the year. So Karen, I love you so much. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much
Scott. Same. I love you
for
too. And
being a
thank you
friend
so
all
much.
of
And
these years,
Tony.
really. I blame you sometimes for putting me in this mess to begin with, because it was one of those, it was like I said, that falling into the duplex all those years ago, seeing those lineups, seeing your shows there, experiencing all of those people, the friends that I made there, and the community that I came into, and I'm still there. But
Yeah.
never regret it, actually, never regret it.
Yeah. Well, and thanks for staying, on
Yeah,
behalf of all of us and
yeah,
giving us a place to talk about what we do. Thank
excellent.
you. Both of
So
you. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
happy
Merry
holidays.
Christmas, happy holidays.
Yeah.
All right, Tony. I guess
Let's
we're
do
ready
it.
to roll the credits.
Till next time, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.